what you've got here is you're trying to sell steak to vegetarians, right?
Misalignment.
100%, and no matter how good the steak is, right? If
they're not going to buy it.
Not at all.
You're going to turn them off, if anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. We can have a hybrid conversation here. Somebody who's in Australia or up the road in York. We can just get them on the screen. We can have 2 people. We can have 4 people in here.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's brilliant, mate. Wow.
Thank you.
Honestly, so how long's this all been done?
We got this done.
Oops.
It turns into a blur. Oh, sorry.
Excuse me.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll edit that one out.
We probably October, November? No, probably last summer. It was done last summer, and we're just, you okay there?
I am, it's all right.
Do you want a bib?
I think I need it. Do you know, I've had one of those mornings, right? Because I had to drop the dog off and at the in-laws. So he's been all over. Oh, it's just been great. I'm here. This is just... So, go on, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, probably last summertime. I was going to say October, November. But we just needed a space where upstairs is great and it's fit for purpose for the green screen, colorama backdrops, talking heads, or even products. But, we thought we need a space like this where we can use it for ourselves. And now we're selling it to businesses. I want to tell you the model. I'd love to get your opinion on the model.
Go on.
So, super simple. Every business wants a podcast. But every business doesn't want the headache of setting up the microphones, the lights, the cameras, etc., etc. Let's not even get to the edit. Once you've shot it, you've got to edit it, cut through it, and all of that good stuff. And as soon as buying a mic isn't expensive, a couple £100. All right, you could say, well, it is expensive. It depends on which world you live in. 2 mics, cameras, maybe a couple of grand. You could have a studio. But the point is, it's the editing afterwards or setting it up and pulling it down. Huge. So what our model is, and we looked around in Leeds, Bradford, Wakefield, local kind of areas. You can hire a studio for £150 an hour, go in, do your recording, and they'll give you here it is.
Crack on, you edit it.
Exactly, but no one wants to edit it afterwards. So our solution is this, really simple. Trying to reduce the friction as much as possible. Come in, just like JD Gyms, whether you want to come in for an hour or 4 hours a month, you have a block. It's modeled over 12 months. That's consistency. Otherwise, you'll do it 1 month, not do it the other month. And we take over. You come in, do your recording, you go. That's it. Within 5 to 10 days, we'll do the edit, put it all together, hand it back to you. You give us a thumbs up. We'll post it on YouTube. And out of that, there must be half a dozen shorts that we can pull out of it as well. All part of the solution.
Like it. That's really interesting.
Just trying to reduce the friction.
No, that is interesting. Because, and I'll bring it up to speed with what I'm doing, or have been doing. But a lot of it is... so I've got 2 clients I can think of immediately that wanted to start podcasts.
Brilliant, yeah.
And just in terms
just
of...
pull the microphone a bit closer to you. Yeah, that's it.
There you go. In fact, I'll sit up properly. And
no, just be relaxed.
But so they're... so I've got a couple of clients that, want to set up podcasts, but it's one thing, the investment in buying the kit and the decent kit, and obviously you've got, your marvelous cameras and all the rest of it. But like you say, it's just all the hassle. And... the post-production and pulling it all together and then distributing it and all that kind of stuff.
So we had a client in here, potential client, is not client yet, 3 weeks ago. He says, I've got all the kit. What about if you come to my place and you do it there? Or I can just record it and then give it to us. We said, that's fine. He goes, what about if you build this studio in my place? That's fine. We can come in, we'll build a studio. We know what lighting to do, what backdrops, what screens, what tables. We can do that. We can do a build. The bigger question is, do you have someone in-house that's going to be held accountable? Who's responsible to look after it? Because month 1, month 2, you're going to be, the novelty's there. Come into the studio, let's record. Who's going to do it in month 7?
Yeah.
Is the novelty is well worn off, but who's going to be held accountable to make sure that it happens consistently month after month after month? And I go, that's where the challenge comes from. And large corporates have the same problem. SMEs will have that bigger problem because they think, I can buy all of this kit. Yeah, of course you can. The problem isn't buying the kit.
No. Yeah, that's the least. That's the least of worries, isn't it? That's the least
of the worries. Absolutely. So what we're trying to, the simple solution is come in, book time in, use the space. It's your own content, whether it's you and a client, you and your internal team, just you yourself, and you're talking straight to camera because there's learning and development, training, manuals that you're trying to convert. It's a blank canvas. Obviously, every other option, variant of that is available, meaning we'll come out to location, but obviously then price go up, as you'd expect. But this is the uptake, the excitement, the interest we're getting out of this space is great because people like it. It's a nice warm space.
It's absolutely amazing. It's really, really impressive, mate.
Thank you.
It's really, really nice. Honestly, I'm well impressed. Yeah, it's an upgrade to your sofa upstairs. No, that was great. But this is just stunning. So, are you bring it to speed in terms of where you are?
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. So where we are is doing more of the same of what our core business is, and our core business is video. However, it's more about disqualifying people that aren't a fit for us and qualifying the right ones for us. Yep. I don't want to deal with 100 businesses. I just don't have the time. I don't have the capacity. So where we are now is really bringing that partner role to life. Is there a business that has a 12-month growth plan? Mm-hmm. If they're happy, their content, once again, that's not for us. If they've got a growth plan, we need to 10x our activity, penetration into market, revenue, even employee experience. We need to get way more delight out of our teams. Then there's something that we can get involved with, work on a 12-month project as a partner where video plays an integral role. Because video for us is the most powerful way to make an emotional connection with your people. And at that point there, and video has to be core. If video's not at the midst of it, that's fine. Then, there's 100 other agencies that do the comms and all of that good stuff. You don't need to talk to us. No. If video's part of that messaging, then great. What's the problem? What's the challenge? What's the solution that you believe you've got? And let's understand how we can support you. We need to do a discovery. Really understand what that is. What does the data tell us? What does your audience tell us about that? And we've kind of thrashed that out in the discovery, and then we map out a plan of all right, what we're going to do. That's the strategic piece. I can't say the word. And then from there, it's about that content, produce content, put it out to social, amplify it with paid ads, drive people to, if it's external and revenue building, drive it to landing pages. But we're in charge of that whole digital footprint because we want to be held responsible as well. We don't want to pass it from Paul to Peter to somebody else. We want to.
So in terms of geographical reach, then, is it mainly sort of within a X mile radius of here, or ideally, or do you have any
clients or campaigns?
Clients.
Great question. Absolutely not. I think right now our first client is sat in New Mexico, in the US. so
Excuse me.
That touched a chord, didn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So absolutely not. It's more about a fit of have you got a need where video is the core driver, and how can we support you with that challenge? We've got clients in Europe, Italy, Croatia. We work with some Indian companies as well. But yeah, so
what do you do for those guys that are in the States or India or what have you?
Yeah, great question. So the States is a great one. They're an online platform. They've been it's a charity. They're just increasing their digital footprint. They serve a global community. And they recognize video as the most powerful way to engage with their community. Now, as a function, they might shoot stuff globally, Canada, US, Australia, India, UK. but they need a function to make sure that wherever that content is shot is actually managed with regards to, all right, the purpose of that communication was this, and whoever's shot it, how is it getting collated? How is it getting edited? What's that post-production process like? What's the approval process like? Because they've got a global team. And then how is it getting distributed? So we spent last year a great, probably about 6, maybe 9 months doing a great strategy piece with them with regards to what does that look like? And if video is going to play an integral role in their business organization going forwards, what does that mean to them? So it was a great piece of work because it was about giving them ownership and letting them, work out what is right for their organization. Not me saying this, and the other, because you know where that goes. It just doesn't happen, does it?
Well, it's always your fault then, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
No, but it's true,
so
though, isn't
true,
it?
so true.
Because there's no ownership, is there?
There's no ownership. So my role was just to help ask the right questions and let them really navigate through what was right for them as an organization. And that's just evolved into, more opportunities with them. And so that's how we serve them in the US. A couple other examples. There's a floor manufacturing company in Italy.
Wow.
They manufacture wood floors, so not laminates, not LVTs, not plastic floors. It's all European lumber, and a huge business. Well established in the manufacturing space. They've got a particular product which they want to take to market, which is more retail ready. So making real wood floors affordable for the everyday home.
Right, okay.
Normally it's a premium kind of home that will have real proper wood floor. So it's an engineered wood, and obviously that's how they can make it more economical. But it's a great opportunity for us to build that brand, tell their story, explain and show, because video is all about show, not tell. Yeah, show what their manufacturing plant looks like, hear from the voice of the owners.
So have you been out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
We've got a shoot today, right? Today we're shooting in Treviso, which is north.
What are you doing here, man?
We're spread thin, yeah. So
that's great.
The team's out there doing product shots of the 22 different floors.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting.
So how did you get them?
Network.
Yeah,
it's not what you know. So
I know 100%. Yeah, I mean that is that's fantastic.
So we've got some great clients. It's a good time. 2024 was great. 2025 is going to be even bigger for us. That said, last year one project that really stood out for us was the NHS. So we did a recruitment campaign for the NHS around neurodivergence.
Right.
They are actively promoting the fact that if you're neurodivergent, if you're dyslexic, if you've got ADHD or any other neurodivergent trait, come and talk to us. We've got a job for you. Because as opposed to how most people see it as maybe a disadvantage, they're saying it's an advantage.
That's really interesting.
Which I think is great. It's much needed because I think some of the neurodivergent traits have been what's the word? Demonized?
Yeah.
It's probably...
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. Yeah.
So
there's a real stigma around it, isn't there?
Real stigma around it, yeah. So that's that was a real standout campaign that we did last year. So yeah, a mix of projects, a mix of clients. I think the one consistent strand, because people say, well, what niche are you in? And are you in the manufacturing niche or are you in this niche? And I think the niche we're in is helping entrepreneurial businesses with their growth plan. That's the long and short of it. Yeah. So we're industry agnostic, and we're just helping business, and we're working with either the business owners or the leadership team of that business. So we're close to them people as opposed to marketing managers or further down the...
But that's the best place to be, isn't it?
It's the only place to be because they'll make the decisions and
plus because they demand buy-in.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to work your way up the other way. That is fantastic. Yeah.
So it's great. It's exciting times. You tell me. Tell me where are you? What are you doing?
So about a year ago, we launched something called Sales Architects, and over that period, we've been testing, building, and really trying to proof of concept type of stuff, really. So, but what we do is we build and install AI-powered sales engines, which are guaranteed to drive predictable revenue, which is the key thing. It's that whole sort of predictability. And with a good headwind, we can do that in around about 9 days. So we work with primarily software, consultancies, service-based industries. We've also got a couple of product-based ones as well. So literally we go in there and it's all about just making sure that they've got you've got 3 flywheels going in the business. So one is around client acquisition,
sure.
right, which is always people perceive it to be a bit of a mystery and a bit of a pain in the backside. Mm-hmm. Then we've got the sales conversion stuff, which obviously you're familiar with in terms of that. And then the final bit, depending on where they are in their growth, we then go in and we do work in terms of making sure they've got the right team in place from a sales perspective, that they're all upskilled, all the usual stuff, and then really sort of help them build a scalable plan so they can start executing it. So that's what we've been doing. Yeah, it's which is it's good. Yeah, it's interesting.
Is a team of you, or are you doing this myself?
There's 2 of us in-house, but also we've got we subcontract out. We've got a team of developers. Some are in the UK, some are in India.
Very good.
It's don't want to build a massive team. Been there. I'm
small
and
agile.
At it. Small and agile, but no, it's good. Yeah, it's we've got some good results, some really nice clients.
Brilliant.
So ranging from one-person consultancies, leadership and development is an example. A particular firm there, all the way up to larger software as a service companies, B2B SaaS companies. So it's all B2B. I have not got a clue about B2C. It's a complete mystery to me. But yes, it's all B2B. And a couple of different models. One is a done for you, so literally we go in and do the whole thing. Yeah. And then the other one is a done with you, which is over. And it comes down to 2 things, I think, for people. One is speed and money. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's obviously more expensive to do the done for you. So the vast majority tend to do the done with you. We work them over a period of time and help them build that out. So it's good. It's exciting.
Super cool. Can you share a use case? Give me an example of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've got a B2B software company based in Ireland, and they were struggling, or they thought they were struggling with lead generation. This is always the interesting thing. Yeah. So, when we work with anybody, we will start off and try and identify where the bottlenecks are. So we'll map out the entire process. Is it acquisition of clients? Is it the fact that they're not converting well? Or is it the fact that they're losing clients? So they're trying to fill it. Yeah, absolutely. So they thought it was an acquisition problem, but as we went through that process, we could pretty quickly identify that it was their conversion. Okay, so they were getting through the door, but it was then trying to convert those clients. And then when you delve a little bit deeper, you find out that conversion is the issue. But I always say to people that if we're encountering a problem anywhere in that sales process, whether it's acquiring clients, converting them, retaining them, if we hit a problem, always look upstream, because it's something that we haven't done previously, right? That is usually the problem. So with these guys, conversion was an issue, but when you look at it, it wasn't necessarily the skills of the guys that were in sales there who were having the conversations and trying to take them through to a close. It was actually the poor qualification. We spoke about this. So the poor qualification of those clients further upstream. So their marketing function was delivering a lot of leads, okay, but the quality of those leads, this,
it's too wide.
Too wide. Tire kickers. I call them suspects. You suspect they might be interested, but they're never ever going to buy in a month of Sundays. And I remember having a particular conversation with the CEO there around this, and again, he immediately, from a high level, just made the assumption that it was his sales guys that were doing a poor job. And then it would just, that pretty quick realization that wasn't the problem. So we always tend to meet people where they are, if that makes sense. So once we defined this, again, we started by looking at that qualification or that pre-qualification, so that by the time somebody gets on a call, we know what their pain points are or their problems are. We know what their budget is, okay? And then we also know what the decision-making process is. And once we've got all those, then we can qualify. So it's very interesting. So, and then we put in some tech just to help them, because that was the other immediate knee-jerk reaction. Prior to working with these guys, they bought every bit of tech under the sun. Right, and it's the usual. You'll know this, right? And people get excited about it. And he was sold a good story by his sales team and his sales manager and marketing manager, by X, Y, and Z. But the problem is, if you don't have really, really good systems in place, if you don't, and this is the boring bit, if you don't have really good systems in place, if you don't have really excellent processes in place, then any amount of tech is not going to make a jot of difference. It's just going to confuse things.
It might be boring, but it's fundamental.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And again,
you can't overlook that.
No, not at all.
We call it digital plumbing.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to steal that one.
Have it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Because that infrastructure that sits underneath, if it doesn't join all the dots, you've got gaps and holes, and it doesn't communicate to the next part of the process, the customer journey, and all of that good stuff.
No, absolutely. So we took them all the way back to actually the first step, kicking and screaming, to look at their ideal client profile, their ICP, and their buyer personas, and which was interesting. They thought they were targeting one particular persona. As it turns out, everything that they were doing, the messaging and all the great stuff that you do, was geared completely the wrong person. And I described it to the CEO there. I said, what you've got here is you're trying to sell steak to vegetarians. Right,
misalignment,
100%. And no matter how good the steak is, right? If
they're not going to buy it,
not at all. You're
going to turn them off, if anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So we started there.
Steak to vegetarians, I love that.
You can have that one. Yeah. All right, I'll swap you. Right, and so we did a piece of work around that. And the reason why that's really important is that if you don't know in real deep detail, what the pain points are, then how can you possibly then go on to market to them, sell to them, retain them, and all that kind of stuff. So again, we do a lot of work around that. And we use a lot of AI when we're sort of building that out as well, just to help people, because sometimes they find that a bit of a challenge, and they can be very blinkered, in terms of where they are. And then
just to note there, if you don't mind me interrupting, people talk about, when ICP, they talk about demographics, and they kind of like finish at that point there. I always say, well, you need to understand the psychographics as well. What's the motivation? All right, you've got all the criteria of who it is, where they are, what they do, and all of that good stuff. But with that final key of the motivation, and the absence of that, I think you're missing a big trick.
Yes, absolutely. Because anybody can do, again, the demographic stuff. So if you want to do a search and size a company and all this, fine. I mean,
that's 101. Absolutely.
Yeah. But when you, as you say in there, Rashpal, you dive deeper, because you've really got to get inside their heads.
Yeah.
And I talk about this a lot through everything I do. I said you've got to get inside people's heads, and then when you do get into a conversation with them, help them connect the dots in their heads. Okay. So it's just getting a real deep understanding. Obviously, their pain points, what keeps them awake, all that kind of stuff. But actually going even deeper and understanding what their leading and lagging indicators are. Okay, so lagging indicators. So let's take a chief technology officer. So one of their lagging indicators might be server uptime. So therefore, it's then working out, well, what are the indicators that lead into that? What? Because we can't impact server uptime in this instance with this company in Ireland. What we can do is impact the things that affect that lagging indicator. So again, it's just understanding that. And I always say to people, well, the easiest way of trying to work out, what a lagging indicator is just to try and identify what they're either hired or fired for. Okay.
Yeah.
And then think, well, how can we then have an impact on that? And then that flows all the way through obviously the marketing side and the messaging. And then particularly when we get to the sales side, it just means that we're then really equipped with a deep understanding of what drives them. Okay, as opposed to very often what happens, and you'll have been on the receiving end of lots of sales pitches as I have, and it's always about the wrong thing, and it's always about the person that's selling. Okay, and what they're selling, and if I'm selling to you, you don't care about that.
It's always me, and no one's interested in that.
No, yeah, exactly, and I call it the me monster, and they'll so, but it all again, it all starts right at that front end with that real deep understanding, which again, we have to occasionally drag people kicking and screaming, but
you can't shortcut that, and you do right to drag them screaming and kicking.
Yeah, and and then once we've sort of done that piece, we then start to jump in and look at numbers and build them out a sales growth plan. And again, it never ceases to amaze me the number of even large organisations that don't know exactly what they need to be doing on a day-to-day basis to hit the numbers. So again, we build that out, and whether that's trying to build up sort of that inbound channel, which is I think a longer-term burn generally, but it's fundamental, or the outbound, which is again cold emails, picking that thing up, the phone up, and then just building all that out and systematizing that, and then away we go. So and then the fun starts, and we get into sales conversations. And
it's so interesting that there's so many businesses that still have anxiety around picking up the phone.
Yeah.
And they just need support and change. I think his mindset is what they need to change.
Definitely, because I think there's that big fear, isn't there?
It's a huge fear.
And also, I think, particularly in a lot of software organisations, you tend to get sales development reps, SDRs or BDRs, who are there to set appointments.
Yeah.
And because it's very often an entry-level position, you tend to get a lot of young people.
Yeah.
And, a lot of young people are just scared of the phone. Now, whether that's a generational thing, it might be, but I think it's always been there.
I think it's always been there.
And so, again, it's just making sure that, they're equipped with the skills and the techniques and, and that sort of discipline, to follow that through. But it makes it a lot easier. So if I'm cold calling you, imagine I'm 21. Can you imagine, right? All right. And I phone you, an experienced business owner. And it's all about how we then structure that conversation. Because you're experienced, you've been around, you've seen it all, you've heard it all, and if I come on the phone and I sound like some cheesy salesperson straight out of university that's got a script in front of me, then straight away
it's turn off.
Whereas if, based on all the information we did earlier, in terms of finding out exactly what your pain points, your drivers, your leading indicators, if I can talk into that very, very quickly and succinctly, then that's when we start to build that connection and build that relevance.
Absolutely. Identify the problem.
Yeah.
Create alignment.
Yeah, exactly. And then start the conversation and then take them down, the horrible word, the process word. Because
that's a framework. You've got to go through a process.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's. Don't get me wrong, because people often ask me, are salespeople made, right, or are they born, right? And you do get some natural salespeople, but they are like hen's teeth. I mean, they are so few and far between.
Oh, of course.
So when I was managing larger sales teams, I'd have my mavericks, okay. And no matter what you taught them or the process, or they were a nightmare. However, they were delivering. Yeah. Okay, so we just leave those guys.
It's a good bad thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They won't listen, but they deliver.
Yeah, I know. Just put them in the corner and let them. Absolutely. But the bulk of the people, again, are trainable, and I always look at people that can follow a process. So when we work with organisations that they've got the acquisition engine running, the conversion's good, and then they're looking to scale, this is when we start looking at people. And that's always an interesting exercise to see what they've currently got. And what's the old phrase? They've got the right people in the right seats on the bus, and then obviously work with them to upskill them if necessary. Or unfortunately, as happens, if they're not a fit and they're not performing, and they've had the opportunity to improve, then unfortunately they have to go. That's just the harsh reality of it. But it's always hiring people, that. I always look at people that can follow a process, which sounds, again, not particularly exciting. But a great example of this is I've got another organisation I deal with, a firm of consultants. And as they were starting to build out their outbound team, they were looking to hire sales development reps, appointment setters. And they made the fatal mistake of putting it on Indeed. Okay. And surprise, surprise, they got thousands and thousands of applicants through. Okay. So what we did in order to, because it's then how do you filter that out? Because amongst all those thousands and thousands, you could have some really, really strong candidates.
Get some gems in there, yeah.
So what we did, again, we automated their recruitment funnel, and people saw the ad, okay, which was very targeted. People then applied. And then as part of the process, as it continued to move down, what they had to do was record a video of themselves. Okay. So they jumped onto a landing page once they'd seen the ad, and there was a video that they had to obviously listen to. And it was 5 minutes long, 4 or 5 minutes long. And right at the end, okay, it said, okay, when we want you to record a video for us, here's a sample framework or script, as if you're making a cold call. But I want you to start the video by saying the words, and there was some random words in there.
XYZ.
Yeah. And the ones that, the vast majority, right, didn't start. So therefore,
disqualify them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't follow in simple instructions.
As simple as that, So that was, so it's little things like that are quite interesting.
Huge. We worked with an estate agency, big outfit, and they had ads on Indeed. And to help disqualify a lot of time wasters, they put them through a similar video funnel. Watch these videos, you go through the series of videos, and it was really clever because it was quite interactive. Click this if when you get to the end of the video, click here to go there, and it branched off into different ways, but it got you to the end. And for the people that got to the end and that fulfilled the criteria, then they got to the next stage for that interview process, and the ones everybody else that didn't. It was a great way for them to disqualify and qualify.
Yeah, you've got to apply that all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, that's that disqualification mindset, which is, again, obviously you do it when you're recruiting, but as you've got to do that as early on in the sales process.
Of course.
Even as you edging towards the bottom of that the actual funnel itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to, because I'm sure you've been on calls. I've been on calls whereby someone's incredibly enthusiastic, and this then comes into the actual process itself. What a lot of people do is when they're selling, is they'll just try and sell all the features and benefits, the bells and whistles, get people excited. They'll produce the proposal, they'll do all that kind of good stuff, only to find out afterwards that they've got no money, right? Which is just a complete waste of time.
Of course.
We need to find out before we think about investing all that time in demos, the dog and pony show, all the rest of it.
Buying power? What's your buying power?
Well, absolutely.
Well, what criteria do you fit in, A, B, or C? Or there's always a good narrative to have.
Of course there is.
Depending on the product, depending on the customer base, because you want to make sure that it's tasteful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think really then, going back to particularly people that are younger in sales and that whole mindset thing, there's always a piece of work around getting them to understand that, that they've got equal business stature, which is really, really important. Okay, as opposed to that subservient, childlike state. Never ever beg is a phrase, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then simple things around how to control that call and again follow the process and away we go. But so that's me.
Sounds super exciting in many ways, no different to what you've always done, but it sounds like you're in a more, as opposed to, I mean, we've always met in previous spaces where you're training, coaching, but this is now where you're actually delivering.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Have you
always done this, or have I just missed that part of it?
No, it's historically it's always been training and coaching.
Okay, all right,
going into organisations and building out sales teams.
So this is like, you've moved lanes.
Yeah, so it's really sort of building on that. So again, if you think about the sort of three areas or the three engines, if you like, that's always been the conversion bit.
I'm not sure if this is a new model, but it's a model that I'm floating past every client that we can really get into bed with once we've gone past through maybe a pilot project. And I don't know if this applies to yourself. We work out because more and more of our work is around client acquisition. We work out the model of what that retainer is going to look like, that piece of work over the 12 months. But as well as just offering that retainer and negotiating that price so it works for the business, because it has to be a win. It has to work within the budgets. But we also take a percentage of the win on the top end.
Yeah.
Is that what you're already doing? Is that done? Is that an old school technique, or is that?
It's been done, to various degrees over the years. But I think, particularly in the last, 4 or 5 years, it's that growth model. Okay, so you grow, we grow, but we, so smaller retainer theoretically, but we get some of the upside as well. And it's an interesting one. So again, I have clients that have or currently operate that type of model. So it's all about making sure that you agree what the deliverables are.
Absolutely.
Okay? And there's there is no ambiguity around it. And it's trying to find what number you are collectively going to hang your hat on, because it's that's where it can get quite contentious. I think the other thing as well sometimes is that, particularly when you do start delivering and you do start helping organisations succeed, sometimes there's that bit of resentment that can creep in terms of, well, why am I still continuing to pay X and all this kind of stuff? But that really, all when you sort of again map it all out, comes back to agreeing up front, setting expectations, and being really, really, really clear. And also, I think having that conversation up front of saying, look, we will deliver for you. We'll see increased revenue or whatever the measure is. But I just want to have that conversation now with you that there will come a point where, you might feel a little bit resentful or uncomfortable with the fact that, you're having to pay us this. And just have it up front. Have the conversation up front.
Absolutely.
And then if it rears its head further down the line, then at least you've got a point of reference to come back to. But I like that model. I really like that model.
Yeah. I think the model creates excitement.
Yeah.
Because the retainer model is great. In the agency world, it's not new. In the video world, it's very new.
Right, okay.
Arguably, I don't think many video agencies are doing this. I suppose we're more like an agency but hanging on video. That's how we make it work. I think the agency model is probably not as profitable from a retainer point of view as if you just did a project. But if I do a comparison of what life was like 5 years ago to what life is like today, I would recommend to every video agency retainer models the way forwards to at least give you stability, because we had huge peaks and troughs with regards to super busy, super quiet, and it's hard to build a team and actually understand where your cash flow is going on a month-to-month basis. Whereas the retainer model, you get the best of both worlds. We've got retainer clients. We still get the ad hoc projects, which is fine because we see them as a bonus. We know where we are from month to month. We add another client to the business, and our outgoings don't change that much, but our income obviously increments upwards, and then when we get a win with regards to actually delivering results, then to us that's like evidence that the team is performing. We as a business is performing, because we see it as a machine. We're not just doing one task. It's a whole machine that is in partnership with each of our clients to deliver results.
But I think that also differentiates you as well. Because
we're in a category of one.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of people see, and this is an assumption, but I'm guessing that a lot of people will see the type of work superficially that you guys do here as very transactional. Okay, you come in, do a bit of a project, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
But what you're positioning yourself as is again that sort of that growth partner, type model.
Yeah.
And as well as providing you with that sort of predictable revenue, it's also adding value to your clients as well. Because again,
100%.
because you're invested in it, and you can build up that relationship and get to know them, because it's not just a case of rocking up, is it, with your your camcorder, right? Show my age there. Yeah, even worse. Yeah. So I think it's a really, really good model.
And you touched on a point there about competitors. We've never been too bothered about competition and other people. There's enough business for everyone, number one. But number two, we believe we're in a category of one, because there's nobody else doing that. Now, there might be other agents. There's bound to be other agencies doing what we do. And there's going to be agencies which are bigger than us, better than us. But at the end of the day, we just need to have 1,000 fans. Out of the 1,000 fans, 100 people that know us really well.
Yeah.
And out of that, even the 10 or 20 that we want to work with. And that's great, and if we can scale that beyond that's fine. But we've got a system, a process that works. And we've got to be careful. We don't want to grow too fast as well, because we have growth problems.
Absolutely.
We need quality people for our own teams and retention. So we're split between our core team is here. And we're always looking for more editors. So if you know anyone in the video world that wants a job as an editor, then point them in my direction. But we also have a team out in India as well, and it's just an efficient way that works for us.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because I'm talking about agencies, general marketing agencies. I'm trying to be really polite. There's some really good agencies. I'll start off by that. But and the only reason I sort of bring that up is we get people that were with not just one agency, but they've been through quite a few agencies, and very often they'll see something online that's or we'll generate 1,000 leads for you in 12 hours, or we'll wash your feet for a year, right? Okay, that type of inflated offer, and they just can't deliver on it and never deliver on it. And I think a lot of agencies are now, unfortunately, perceived as very, very transactional again. Very, very short-term contracts. It could be a month, it could be 3 months. If you don't deliver, you're out, and but there's it's a big problem. It's obviously a big problem for a lot of agencies that perhaps get thrown into that same bucket as well. But also, I think I'm a great believer in any organisation being self-sufficient when it comes to again growth. Okay, when it comes to that client acquisition side and all the rest of it, as opposed to relying on somebody or some other organisation externally.
Absolutely.
And that's where that sort of partnership model that you were talking about and you're delivering comes in.
It's a funny one, absolutely, because one could argue our partnership ties us into a business, and business kind of is reliant upon us, which puts us in a great position. Arguably, from a business point of view, that you could argue from their point of view, it's not. But it depends about what their growth plan is, and it depends what their vision is. For some businesses, they might feel uncomfortable with that, and that's fine. Then we're not a fit. We're evidently not a fit. Or it could be a case of we work together for 1, 2, 3 years, and then we have to wean ourselves out. And the way we wean ourselves out is that we train people in house, which is okay as well. We're not against it, but most people that we work with, like all our clients right now, they've got no issue with that, because their vision and growth plan is 10x, and they want to get bigger and bigger and move into different territories. So it's like it's way beyond that. So I think there's an element of, and not trying to say there's small-minded people or better or bigger-minded people. I think it's each individual's business's vision.
So you mentioned something earlier, and it's about number one, there's tons of business out there, right? There's tons of demand out there that needs satisfying.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing. I think the second thing then, which is really important that you mentioned, is around who you want to work with, because we've been around a bit. I've been around even more than you have, right? But but if you get I always say this: if they're a nightmare when they're a prospect, okay, imagine what they're going to be like when they're a client. And I've been there. I'm sure you haven't experienced it, and so it's all about being really, really clear, okay, in terms of, I guess, the type of organisations that you want to work with, that have that growth mindset, that understand, and I think this is really important as well, the value that you bring, and it's not just the stuff, it's not just the product that you deliver.
That's a given that's going to deliver. It's everything else. It's the added value. What else are you bringing to the table when they're stressed or they're dealing with problems? How can you just be there to support them? And how can your experience, and I'm not saying just be a shoulder for them to cry on, but how can the experience that we've had with all the other businesses, corporates, SMEs, medium-sized enterprises that we've worked with over the years, how can we use that experience to give them some kind of comfort or direction, to offer them a solution to that problem? Because aren't we all sick of problems? We want solutions.
Oh, absolutely. That reminds me of, I can't remember exactly what the story is, but it's probably one of these made-up myths that you hear. And there was some manufacturing facility in the States. This was in the 50s or 60s, and a line went down. Okay, and so they called in this old guy, this consultant, who came in, just listened to the machine, got his spanner, banged the machine at a certain point, and all of a sudden it started working again. And afterwards he sent his invoice, okay, $10,000. And the CEO got on the phone and said, $10,000? You were only there for a minute. And he said, well, so it's $1 for the minute I was there, and $9,999 for all the experience. Yeah, and it's but that's again, it's and that's why it's really important, I think, isn't it, to at the beginning of any client engagement, just to make sure that we've got clear expectations in terms of what the relationship's going to look like, what they're actually buying. Okay, and I think also it's really interesting that the dynamic changes as well, from when you are pitching for a piece of business to when you become, on board as their partner, which is fundamentally, what we're talking about here.
That's a really interesting point, that is. When we're pitching, we're already talking to them as if they're our customer. We don't have a, we want to work with you attitude, and now we've got them, all right, it's a different kind of tone of voice. We've already got the mindset that we're working together. We're already partners. Yeah. Maybe you can't see that, but we're already of that mindset, and so it's a really interesting. I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
No, I think it's a really good mindset and a frame to be in. Okay, without being cocky or presumptive, but it is just that. Again, and particularly the way that I know that you operate, and you are very, very calm, very gentle, and very reassuring. Yeah. And it all stems from that, really. And I think a lot of it is actual. It's confidence. Okay, that you can deliver. Yeah. And people are far more receptive to that than being slapped by some awful pitch. That feels salesy and all the rest of it, and all the because people are very wise to all the sales tricks and tactics, and all the horrible closing techniques, and this is again going back years and years, and there's tons and tons of different types of closes. So for example, when you hit somebody that delivers a stolen objection to you, okay. And or they want to defer it, and traditionally people are taught to say something like, "Well, that's absolutely fine, Rash pal. You can delay a decision, but I must tell you the price does go up on Monday." And it's like, "Now, come on, please." And all right, so you don't hear that as much now, but people are when people feel sold to, okay, they push away. And that's just human nature.
Well, and I'm sure you've been on a lot of sales calls yourselves. I think in the last probably 5 years, especially with technology businesses and coaching businesses, in their discovery, it's all about the why. Why do you want to do it? How's this going to affect your life? What's your wife and family like, and your children, and what will this mean to them? Because they're going to leverage that at the point of objection. So, right, okay, you don't want to invest in this 3, 9, 20,000 pound thing. And how's your wife going to be thinking about this? And that dream house that you wanted. So they go down this kind of emotional black pill route, which I think is... It's shocking.
It's disgusting.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I was laughing is that I was looking to buy a bit of software about 8 months ago. And the guy that got me on the call, he was in Dubai, aren't they all? Damn those young people. And at his stand-up desk, nothing against people that stand up at desks, right? But you get I'm just trying to paint a picture, in his T-shirt and his baseball cap and all this kind of stuff. Well, that's fine, okay. I mean, know your audience, but that's fine. And he knew what I did, and he knew how long I've been doing this, okay. But he'd obviously got a script, okay.
Obviously.
And I was just saying, look, yeah, I appreciate, let's just skip that, past that.
Yeah.
Can we just, I just want to dig into this area. But he was pulling me back to the script, and it was just horrendous. And it was that very thing. And it got to the point where he started talking over me, which, it grates me anyway. But, as he's doing this, interrupting, and he kept trying to get him to that point. He'd obviously, been told or read some book that said that, you've got to really get into that personal emotional side of things. Now, there is a part in the process that, you do want to elicit emotion, but you certainly don't start saying things like, look at me. I mean, I know I need to look 30, Rashpal, but I'm actually 56, right? And I'm thinking, and he's saying, well, what would this mean to your family? And all this kind of stuff. And at that point, I, very, very politely, exited the call. Because again, people also think that there is one set way of doing sales, okay, and there isn't. There isn't. There's a framework, there's a process, as you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely.
But you got to layer on, and you got to be, you got to have as well, I think, quite high emotional intelligence, and be able to read, whether it's the room or read somebody on over Zoom or whatever it is.
You took the words out of my mouth. That you've got to read you've got to read the room, the body language. Are they receptive of what you're saying? Are they giving you the signals that we're on the same wavelength, or have they switched off? Are they just checking their phone while you're constantly talking, and they've just switched off? And it's
and they're not picking up on. I mean, so one of the so we use a lot of AI to do things like automated market research and integration with sort of CRMs, all that kind of good stuff. And I had one organisation that I spoke with that were desperate to get rid of all of their internal sales, all of their SDRs, and use AI because they'd seen on video somewhere. The dream. So he was sharing this tool with me that he was thinking of buying, and it's for AI voice generated outbound calls.
Sure.
And it will happen, I'm sure, to a degree. And I think the use case for that is if you book an appointment, then perhaps you could get an AI agent to actually call up and have a conversation just to confirm, and get you booked in. But one of the things that I think where AI particularly lacks at the minute, particularly around, again, those voice agents, so the AI bot calling you up and having a conversation, is picking up on some of those subtle cues, those human cues, and that rapport building. Because whilst again, a lot of these models are very, very good, very clever, I still think thankfully there's still a fair way to go on that.
It's interesting you say that, because timing is perfect. So 4 weeks ago we were sat talking to one of our devs, and he was talking me about that exact same thing. And I'm always a strong believer of, I need to eat my own dog food. Before I give it to my clients, give it to the customers, let's test it on our own systems, processes for ourselves. And 2023 is probably when ChatGPT really came out onto the market. 2024, everyone's well into AI. And now you're right, AI agents and all of that good stuff. I think fundamentally people are misunderstanding what AI and how to use AI in a business. It's an assistant. It's to support, to do the supportive tasks, not to take over. So the reason I say that as a bit of a context or backdrop is, so we are in the midst of just trialing, testing, developing an AI agent to do outbound calls. However, it is only to really qualify and book time into my diary. Yep. So me or somebody else who's senior in the business or proper in the business can have that conversation, not to do the heavy lifting. And that would be, to me, a huge kind of misunderstanding of where AI fits into the mix.
Absolutely right. And and again, that's the perfect use case.
And I might be pushing it to the limits because I'm still exposing AI on the front end of a customer engagement.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you test and measure it, don't you? I think if you have a total addressable market that is in the hundreds of thousands, then you might have a bit of a punt on that. But if you've got a smaller market, that you can serve, then I think again it's just looking at every piece in that process and identifying, where that human interaction is needed.
Yeah.
But they are coming on, at a great pace. I've got one client who now does podcasts, but he's not on them anymore. It's all AI.
AI podcast.
And with his voice.
Is it video podcast?
No.
All right, okay.
No, because that's the other thing.
Yes.
This is obviously right in your sweet spot, isn't it?
Jinx.
But apparently, again, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but so one is obviously the lip sync, right? Okay. I've seen some way say if you when you're doing this, stand like 4 miles away so we can't see your lips.
They can't see the lips.
Yeah, but apparently the one as well is AI has a real problem with hand gestures and stuff and what have you.
Yeah. It's getting better. It's increasing in the performance is so amazing from where it was 3 months ago to three years ago. It's not there yet, and there's something special about being authentic.
Yeah.
Being yourself.
100%.
And I get why people are going down that route, because they're just saying, well, podcast works. All right, how can I manufacture this to do this at scale?
Yep.
And I get it. But my biggest challenge back to anyone who's doing that is, how is your customer going to feel that they've been duped?
Yeah.
And how important is that a customer feels like, actually, for the last 6 months, I've not been listening to person X. I've been listening to an AI agent. And if it doesn't matter, then that's fine. Rock on. But if it does matter and it's going to affect that relationship that they might risk stop buying, then that's the ultimate question.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a huge ethical discussion, isn't there, around AI in general. Force for good, force for bad, and all the rest of it. But I think things like that, like you say, it's, are you hoodwinking? Potentially, if it, again, if it's very, very transactional and you've got a large market to go at, and if it's doing things like just booking in appointments and what have you. But in a few years, when adoption and understanding of all this, AI, particularly, your agents that are calling and having conversations is more accepted and acknowledged, then maybe it might help. But I think what's also interesting is the development of AI bots on the sales side and the purchasing side. And I think, in a few years, a lot of that interaction for particular deals and particular organizations and sectors will be AI sales bot talking to AI purchasing bot, and then we can all sit on the beach.
We can just sit on the beach.
And,
You touched on a great point. I'm just going to circle back to it. You said a second ago, I think it's about being disingenuous. And if the customer feels like this business, this brand that I've invested in is being disingenuous because they've duped me, I think that's the liability. I think where we are and where our mindset is with regards to using AI bots, and I'd love to get your opinion on this as well, is not to create another Rashpal. It's not to create another person, but to create a fictitious person. We've got a Box Media character. It's a Box Media bot. And when you phone up, it actually introduces itself. Look, I am a Box Media bot. I'm here to help you. And I'm going to ask you some simple questions so I can be client-centric. And I think that's where the marketing goal is.
Yes. So again, it's all about letting people know up front.
Yeah.
So whether it's in that example there, all the way throughout, that sort of sales experience, just being honest with people, seeking their permission, for want of a better term.
Yeah. And I think there's a bit of fun that can be had there, because I think every brand, every business could have a little character that comes alive. And it doesn't have to be the CEO, the MD, or the marketing person, because as much as we believe in humanizing your brand, and nothing's better than an eyeball to an eyeball like this. But the second best is video like this. But in the world we live in now, with regards to AI, why not create a box bot for Box Media? Why not create a branded bot for your business? Yeah. And you can have a bit. It's like the meerkat.com. Who is the meerkat? There's no loyalty.
Who is the meerkat? Exactly. Right? Yeah. But no, I agree with you. I think again, it's all about the use case, isn't it?
Yeah.
And understanding that whole customer journey, and the relationship that you're looking to have moving forward. And as you say, if people understand that it's a bot that's calling them to confirm an appointment, happy days. I mean, it's but I think it's people are. So I did a survey. This was about a month ago, or a bit of research, trying to find how many AI sales tools there were. Okay, because again, a lot of my clients, are becoming more aware of AI, and they'll come in with these crazy things, and all the rest. So I thought I'd do a bit of research. So at my last count, okay, there were over 2,500 AI sales tools. Okay, because everybody is making the assumption that you stick AI on and away you go. So a lot of it is but as I say to everybody, right, you can choose any of these 2,500 tools. Okay, you can get them talking to each other, integrate them. So, but right, if your systems and processes are shoddy and weak, it's just going to amplify that. But over 2,500, and that's just in sales. They are just pure sales-related tools. Whereabouts in that sales process or that lead generation process, do we need potential? Where would we benefit from AI? Okay, and I think a lot of it is around data capture, data validation, making sure that data's clean. The basics, the fundamentals are there. Have you got clean data? And again, you can use AI to continually monitor that. When you're going out and doing a cold email campaign, you can again use AI or many other tools just to make sure that deliverability is good. Make sure that it's actually so it's looking at what is the model that we're trying to build here as a business, and that what does that growth model look like? And and then where could we potentially improve it? So I go right back to the point I was saying earlier about looking at someone's end-to-end process and identifying where the bottlenecks are. Okay, and then trying to will technology help that bit? Well, it probably will, but let's have a look at the fundamentals first. Just potentially redesign that process, make occasional little tweaks. But that's where you start getting big wins. So, and again, if it means injecting AI or any other tech at certain points, that's fine.
I think you're right, and I think what people realize, especially in the tech world, AI has been around a lot longer than people recognize. But it was called machine learning before.
This is right. Okay, yeah. This is
buzzwords. I think a lot of it is just buzzwords.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And people think, again, well, you ask most people what's AI, and they say, well, it's
ChatGPT.
And again, I'm obviously quite interested in that whole space, and conversations around, is AI conscious? and all this kind of nonsense. And we've gone down another rabbit hole here, but but like you say, it's machine learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
But with a perhaps a name fit for where we are today.
Yeah, 2025. Exactly. So and cold email is an interesting one. We'll run out of time talking about cold email, but a lot of people don't get it that it's about domain authority and how long has your domain been alive for, and if you warm the domain up, and for cold email, the kind of quantities and the ROIs that you should be looking for, the KPIs. Most businesses, and they shouldn't know it because that's not their business. We know it because it is our business. We're not a cold email. We are experts in that area because we partner with Lemlist. Lemlist is probably, I think, Woodpecker, Lemlist come top in best in class.
Smart lead, yeah, exactly.
With regards to cold email.
Again, you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you've seen this, but you work with organisations that are trying to do bulk email campaigns from their primary domain.
Or with MailChimp.
Yeah,
it's non-starter. We've got MailChimp.
Excuse me, I want to get a brown paper bag. I'm about to hyperventilate, right? But again, it's people are largely ignorant from a knowledge perspective.
Yeah.
And you look at cold email. I mean, you look at even the past 12 months. 1 minute there are issues in terms of deliverability when you push into a Gmail account or an Outlook, and but these are all things that again, people need to be aware of,
educated about. It's complex, and if you haven't got your DKIM set up and all the other I go back to digital plumbing. If that's not all set up correctly, then you're going to run and you're going to fall over really quickly.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely key that when we're doing campaigns, and we always recommend organic and paid campaigns. Your paid ones amplify, target, get people into your funnel. Your organic keeps pushing them and nurturing them. They come to a dedicated landing page, and because it's inbound, we've got phone numbers, emails, and a lot of people say, "Oh, don't ask for too much information." I says, "Well, if we've done the ICP part right, and we've done the communication on the landing page right, and if I'm the customer, I'm happy to give my information."
And that's the big difference, isn't it? And again, it's trying to explain to people the difference between an inbound and an outbound.
Yeah.
If you've got genuine intent or a degree of intent or of an interest, then whereas obviously if it's, for example, if you're driving something, I guess, from an ad to a lead magnet or whatever it might be, then perhaps you limit that information, then you enrich it as you go on.
Of course.
But like you say, inbound is,
ask for everything because it's on the plate, and why not? If you've got the solution there, then it's about quickly putting them in the right funnel or bucket. Are they an MQL? Are they an SQL? And do they need a phone call now? Do they need more nurturing and then a phone call? And it's just about mapping that out. So it's exciting times, and for us, it's about how video supports each part of that funnel to get from that transformation of where they are with the problem they have to the point of where they feel they want to be. And that transformation from A to B is I suppose, what we are all talking about. Absolutely. And how well we can articulate that for the partners and clients that we work with using this great technology.
I know. Love it. Even at my age.
Fantastic. Well, I really enjoyed that. There's still lots more to dig into. I hope you'll come back again.
Love to.
We
love to, into your amazing studio, Rashwad.
Thank you.
Yeah, love it.
I'm glad you like it. We've needed it for a long time, and it's a great opportunity for us to invite friends and talk about things that we're passionate about and understand what other people are doing in the business. But if it works for you, at the absolute least, come again this time, same time next month.
Perfect.
Let's put it in the diary.
Yeah.
It gives us an opportunity to, catch up with where we are. If there's, anything that comes to mind that you think we can help you with, or you want to just prod us or ask questions about, certain elements, then we'd welcome that conversation going forward as well.
Likewise. Perfect. Thank you very much, Raspal.
Fantastic.
It's been excellent. Love it.
Love having you here. I always love the conversation.